All right, guys, I think we're ready to go. You're listening to the Galloway and Isabell podcast. My name is Thomas Galloway. To my left is Noah Galloway. How are you doing today, Noah?
Not too bad, Tommy. How are you?
I'm doing great. To my right, in his empty chair that Evan Isabell is not sitting in, he is
in northern Iowa. He's probably in some cornfield, lost,
wandering around. But we feel pretty confident he'll make his way back. This podcast is important, and we need him. We need his voice.
So he's the linchpin to this whole operation.
He is the linchpin. He is the linchpin to this operation. He completes it. 2 people is not an ideal format. 3, it's enough. It's the right amount. 4 is a little too many because people don't really get to talk a whole lot. But this podcast will be, it's just a short 5-10 minute intro to what we're trying to do here with our podcast, the Galloway and Isabell podcast. We'll kind of describe our format, when we'll be posting, when we'll be taping, things like that. We've already taped 3 podcasts, but we'll only be posting the second one. That one is up right now.
Because the first one was a bit personal and
morbid.
Yeah.
The first one was very serious. It was 54 minutes. We just went on for a long time. It was very serious life stuff, and we don't really want to put that out like right now. At some point we might put bits and pieces of it out, but it wasn't a great one to start off with. It was interesting, and like we enjoyed doing it, but it's not really something we want to start with. And the third one we won't be posting, at least for now, because we did that with our guest was an 8-year-old, so like that's not ideal. The second one is a general idea of what we're going to be doing in our podcast. We'll probably be talking a lot about either serious like life, kind of like where we're at right now, where we're trying to be,
or dumb funny hypotheticals.
Like there will be no in between. It's a way to, like, I always use writing as a way to kind of get my thoughts out, because they kind of start to add up, and it sort of feels like your head's going to explode, and so you just get them out on paper. But writing is hard and not very fun. But podcasts, we can still get our thoughts out. We can share them with each other. We can share them hopefully with you guys, and it's a good way to just get those get everything out. You know, like if we ideally we're going to a weekly format where we tape it Friday or Saturday night and we post it Sunday or Sunday night or something like that. And you guys, if you're interested in listening, if you have a job that you listen to stuff with, or you have a commute of any length, or you walking around on your school campus,
or riding around on a bus on school campus,
you have a road trip coming up, then you guys can start your week with a little bit of our podcast if you're interested. So just in our second episode coming up here, we'll talk about a few different things. We talk about like fighting animals. That was something that we were talking about, like what's the largest animal you think you could beat up in a fight?
And why do people buy SUVs that are white with black trim?
That look like cop cars. That was this hot topic. We'll also, in addition to doing ridiculous, Noah's choking on grapes. In addition to doing ridiculous hypotheticals, we'll also be doing just some complaints, like about like little stupid things, like how the middle light on the stoplights is definitely orange, but everybody calls it yellow.
Well, personally, I think it's more yellow than orange.
All right, so we'll save that for another time. And you guys, you know what? At some point, we do want to do where we have people call in and we debate things, and that would be a perfect topic. What color is the middle light on the stoplight? So you guys go out there, take a little look next time you're driving, blow through that orange yellow light, and tell us what color you think it is. All right, call in, talk to us, hit us up, and we'll discuss it.
But take a mental note because the yellow or orange can look more orange or yellow what time of the day or night.
Right, so kind of keep track, write down what time you saw it. So if you're driving along and you blow through a red light or an orange light or a yellow light or whatever color it is at 12:43, pull out your phone, type that in real quick, maybe text it to somebody. We'll make sure we get that down.
Yeah.
What other things we talk about in episode 2? We talk about reverse shoutouts. So if you want to learn about what those are, check it out. We talk about food, whole fat versions of food, the health benefits potentially in that. So those are kind of some of the stuff we'll be talking about in our kind of ridiculous shows. Health food isn't so much ridiculous, but the other parts. And then in other shows, depending on kind of how our week's been going or whatever, that will dictate the format of the show, the content of the show, and so on. Ideally, we keep our podcast to 20, 25 minutes. If it goes longer than that, it's just people stop listening. And we think we have enough stuff to talk about each week to get 20 minutes of content. Did we talk about why people were asking us why we're doing a podcast and things like that?
Yeah, I think so.
Like the worst case scenario is more people listen to podcasts?
Yeah, well, that's it.
Well, yeah. So someone asked, why are you guys starting a podcast? And not just one person, multiple people have asked that. And it's pretty simple. Like, worst case scenario is you become more familiar with podcasts. Like, we put podcasts on your mind for like the second or the third or the first or whatever time. And whether you listen to our podcast or somebody else's podcast, it's all good. It's all positive because podcasts are awesome and you can listen to podcasts numerous places. And especially if like a road trip or any kind of commute, like music is good for a little while, or a job where you're just sitting there. Music is good for a little while, but like podcasts, time passes. So if you're looking for like something to stimulate yourself, like it's not quite enough just sitting there listening to your music or whatever. Check out some podcasts. And really, this first episode is really just intended to give you guys the intro that we've just provided, an outline on what the future episodes will look like. We'll have Evan back. Hopefully we can really get some stuff going in a week or so and keep going from there on a weekly basis. And we're pretty excited about this. The format and what we talk about is likely to change just depending on how things are going. But we really recommend that you guys subscribe to our podcast on the iTunes podcast app. It really does help. It's really the only metric to see how many people are listening or how many people are downloading the episode if you subscribe. Also, we'll be up on SoundCloud if you do not have an iPhone or an iOS device. So there will be, and we'll put those links out on Instagram and Facebook, and so you'll have access to them. It really will help, and we'll be getting sponsors soon. I can assure you that we have at least one sponsor, a coffee shop, that we will be able to unveil in our third episode.
And we will be shouting out a lot of random famous companies.
Yeah. We'll
like
also
H&M, Chrysler.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
If
we don't have any actual sponsors, we'll just make up ones, and that's just as fun. So that's enough for this intro pod. This is just think of this podcast as the syllabus week. Get through it. Get onto the real stuff. Check out episode 2. Evan, Noah, and I, we talk about a number of different things. Should be good stuff. If you enjoy it, share with other people. Subscribe. It really, really does help. So thank you guys. We will see you soon.